Let's go. All right, I'm going to call the Municipal Building Commission meeting for December 2nd, 2020 to order at 5:30 p.m. As always, we will start with a roll call vote to establish those who are participating from the commission. Jeremy?
All right, Jackie,
Yes.
Terry,
Here.
Jerry,
Here.
Kelly,
Here.
Andrew,
Here.
Ed, here, Gail, and Mike, Jack.
I'm here.
All right,
So we do have a quorum. And in the event that Gail or Mike join us, we'll so note for the record. First order of business is the minutes Jeremy sent out, the minutes for November 4th. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Jackie?
Move to approve.
Terry?
Second.
Thank you. Jeremy?
all right, Jackie,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Ed, yes, Jack.
Yes. Passes unanimously. As always, the privileged person is Tom Hayes. Gets to go first. Next year, we'll have to, next project, Tom, will have to make you go last. But in any event, what's our update, Tom?
All three projects are completed. You should have all the final pay applications from CDM Smith, and you should have the final applications from IPC Leiden. Also looking to have their retainage released in front of you, hopefully.
Okay, so I see on our list of bills that we have IPC Leiden for the lime silo boot application 3 for $1684.20. Also CDM Smith, their final for $1299.22. I can see IPC Leiden for the gravity thickener for $22,655.28. CDM Smith for the VFDs for $3595.81. So those are the agenda items when we take care of all the bills that you're recommending to us, Tom?
Correct.
And then, Jeremy, did we accept substantial completion on some or all of these?
All of them, yep.
All of them, so we don't have anything further. And the closeout documents are all in order then.
Correct.
So we can declare this project complete and excuse you, Tom? Is that the case?
Yep, until the next projects.
Okay, before we do that, commission members, any questions for Tom? Otherwise, thank you, Tom, and have a happy holiday season.
You too. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Brennan and Wamsutta Roof Project. I see that we have Susan somewhere.
Yep.
I'm right here.
In Ridgecore.
There you are, right in the middle. I
Yep.
looked everywhere but the middle. And Rich is also on with us. Hi, Rich.
Hi, everybody.
Susan, do you want to give us your report?
Sure. So for the punch list, the most recent extreme rain and wind event brought in some additional water into the buildings. MDM is going to be on site tomorrow with Jerry at 7:30, and they're going to start investigating those and removing some of the ridge material. Rich is arriving between 8 and 8:30 to help determine where these leaks are coming from and what may have caused them to get that punch list resolved. They don't expect it to take much more than the next day or two to get that all resolved. The item of work that was new.
Let me stop you right there. So obviously this was a very unusual storm and wind blown rain. Do we think that there was a problem in the installation, or do we think that it was just the angle of the wind that caused things to happen, or do we have no idea?
Susan, do you want me to speak up?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so it looks like this may have happened. The issue with Brennan School is at the ridge in the gymnasium. I guess a couple months ago, somebody identified and said that they had observed, water, stained water, dark water, right around, across the center of the gymnasium, right where the ridge would be, going from side to side. And there's no mechanical equipment up on that roof. So, and at the Wamsutta School, that same problem isn't happening. So it kind of leads us to believe that what's different about the Brennan School? Why is that happening? So the only thing we're thinking that it might be, and this is what we'll find out hopefully tomorrow, is by taking off the shingles, whether or not they put the insulation in, all the insulation that they needed to, and that they sealed the ridge properly. Because if that was left out, that could be causing that issue presently right now. So we're going to know a little bit more about that tomorrow. It's a little surprising. It didn't happen at Wamsutta. So again, I'm just kind of like, what's different about this school? And there's no mechanical equipment up there on the roof, so there shouldn't be a reason why that should be leaking right now, other than what I just mentioned.
And was that the only leak?
So my understanding is with the heavy rain that they got on Monday, apparently some sort of a leak occurred at the Wamsutta gymnasium, but it's not related to the ridge. It is on one end of the building. So we don't believe it's this that has, the two leaks are correspond to one another. They're not the same. We're not even sure that it's really a roof leak per se. So we're going to try and take a look at that as well and see if there's something else there that we didn't see that, obviously this rainstorm just happened to pick up. I certainly said to, Susan and I have been in touch on this, on the leaks at Wamsutta, or the leak at Wamsutta, and I had recommended that we withhold some money until that leak across the ridge has been resolved, because that's, to me, I think that's a roof, some sort of a roof issue. Wamsutta, I don't know right now.
By the way, for the record, Gail Clark has joined us. Hi, Gail.
Hi there. Sorry I'm late.
So, Rich, was it then fortuitous that we had this horrible storm on Monday?
Not sure really what you mean with that.
Well, we found it's better to find something before we pay the final bill and see if it's something that needs to be corrected, is what I meant.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm always, it's always good to take a step back, before we do a final sign off on anything, to give it a good water test. And Monday's wind-driven rain was probably one of the best water tests that we could kind of hope for, and that, that we didn't have any other leaks is a very positive note. It tells me that we have a very good, we have a good roof system. We just have some issue there at Wamsutta that we need to figure out, and why is that happening. So, and I'm gonna, and Andy Barr from my office is, been made aware of this as well. And we're gonna be taking some photographs as they step by step, and some video footage, so that we can understand what's going on, to figure out what needs to be done to correct that. I'm hoping that this is just a lack of insulation or some seal, something that somebody hasn't picked up on. But we'll know more. We'll know more after we open it up.
So just as a parallel, at this morning's meeting for the high school, we asked about leaks, and they similarly said that this storm was probably the best test they could have of the roof that's up and the skylights in particular, and they didn't leak over there. So they were very happy. So I guess when I used the word fortuitous, I meant that it was a pressure test.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we do have three bills. We have a Russo Bar bill, we have a Skanska bill, and we have application 6 from MDM. So are you recommending that both of you that we pay the MDM bill?
Yes, but on the MDM bill, I wanted to point out that they had a change for some additional caulking at the large windows above each entrance, and it was within the window mullions, not the perimeter. That value is on that change that I sent you via email, Jack, and it appears in this invoice. It's for $2,873.
Yeah,
So if that change is approved. Sorry,
yes.
Jeremy?
Yeah, so that change order is going through signature cycle now. It's on DocuSign. It's with the contractor. So this probably won't get paid this Friday. Once we get the change order coming through and we can charge the right line item on the purchase order, then it'll probably be paid next Friday instead. But yeah, that's in the works.
Okay, great. And then we did hold the monies, as Rich noted, for, any of these water repairs, if they are warranty, punch list related. We held back at least half of what they had originally thought they would be submitting on this month. So we still have money being held for all of the closeout documents. Rich is still reviewing and confirming that he has everything on the as-built that he's looking for. So as soon as that's resolved, we're hoping that and the repairs or patching, whatever needs to occur, is complete. So the next invoice would be 100%. Another item that came to our attention today, we received some pricing for leaf guards. It's our understanding that the mayor does not want to cut down any of those trees, and the school is asking for some relief on the number of leaves ending up in the gutter, and whether or not we could put leaf guards, but obviously they would have to be custom because it is a custom gutter. So I don't know if you want to entertain that idea or what direction you want to go on that.
My feeling is that it probably would be within the scope of the project, but I'm thinking that perhaps we should get the input of the mayor before we act on this. So if you could get us a number that we could understand, that would be helpful. But I think Jeremy will talk to the mayor and we'll get his input. I don't think we need to amend bond issues or anything like that. And I certainly understand the need for leaf guards. Are these the kind of residential leaf guards that are just sort of a black plastic mesh, or are we talking about metal inserts that go in the gutters?
It's a custom metal fabrication that MDM said that they would, they have to get the materials from their supplier. That will take a couple of days. They said, it would only take them a day to get started if and when this is approved. And so it is custom, not plastic, it's metal for the type of gutters that Russo Bar has designed. And the price, I do have the number, it's $3,624, and I'll get that over to you in writing.
3624.
Yep.
Rich, do you recommend that we do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea, especially if we're not going to cut the trees down. I think unless, the school department wants to get up there on ladders to clean up those gutters. I think particularly at Brennan School, that was the one I was probably more concerned with Brennan, but both Brennan, the number I believe that Susan has for you is for both the Brennan and the Wamsutta schools together at the locations where the trees are the most, I guess, where the leaves would have a tendency to fall. We're not doing everything there. We're just doing those, I guess I would call it strategically placed leaf guards. So I think it's a good idea, and that would probably, cut down on the maintenance that the school has to spend cleaning up gutters. So,
Commission members, questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Was There was no plan or anything written in the scope of work for these gutter guards. For some reason, I thought something was written to the scope about gutters. Was it just the oversized gutters that I'm thinking of? But
Just-
Yes,
just-
yes, that is correct, Gail, that it was the oversized gutters because the water that runs down some of those roofs at such a steep rate, it was missing the current gutters that were there that were normal size. Is that correct, Rich?
Yes, that is. Those gutters were enhanced quite a bit in size, but the problem is even though we have an enhanced in size, I think the thing you have to understand is if the leaves fill up the gutter and you have basically the leaves flow into the downspout and they clog the downspout, it backs up the underground drainage system if it's pushed down underneath. So, yeah, particularly again, we're trying to place them in strategic locations, like in locations where there's no trees and we don't think it's an issue. We're not going to recommend that because there's no need to do it. But you have already had, we did have some blockages in the underground drainage system as a result of, debris, in the system from leaves or other.
Any other commission members' questions?
Yeah, I had a question. How close are the trees to the school that you're suggesting be cut down?
So
Somebody to the
Jerry, if
school.
you look at the front of the school, especially at Brennan, there are little alcoves like periodically along the front of the school, and there are trees that when they were planted were intended to be fairly low trees, but now, that was 1995. So 25 years later, those trees are fairly substantial. And we had suggested to the mayor that they come down, but he does not want to do that.
If they're within 25 feet, they should come down. If they're big trees.
Right. During construction, Jerry, we cut back any of the branches that were touching the roof or going to impact, the new system. But we did not do anything with, cutting back extensively. It just was, what was directly adhering or touching.
And
If they're completely over the roof, even if they're not touching the roof, they should come down.
well, Jerry, a lot of people agree with you, but the most important person doesn't.
I mean, believe me, I'm Yeah. a tree lover. I go a long way to save trees, but if it's that close, it should come down. Oh.
Jack, was it the mayor's concern of removing the tree or the cost, or what was more to not removing the tree? Could it be replaced?
Well, we had suggested, if I remember right, Susan, that we take the trees out and put a lower shrub type thing in that would not cause a problem, but we were overruled on that.
I'll revisit it with the mayor now that we have an actual number in front of us to do this. And at the time when we discussed it, it wasn't in regards necessarily to leaf damage. It was, or leaf interference. It was, overhangs. It was damage to the roof. It was snow and ice, that sort of thing. So with this added concern, something that we hadn't talked about initially, I'll bring it up to him again and update the committee next meeting.
Okay. Because I mean, if the tree's got to stay, you put the gutter guards on, but do the gutter guards lead to other additional issues with ice and debris, or are they the screen style, or how do they work?
that was my question too. I also wondered what the building maintenance thinks about the gutter guards as opposed to not having them in. I'd like to hear, but
Yeah, Jason had requested this. So he was the starting point. And so I don't have a picture of what they would look like, but it would be a metal mesh.
Does the new
or they can send us, something that we can.
does the mesh get kind of clogged up with
Sorry?
the little asphalt pieces that kind of wash off the roof, or the little pebbles almost?
Rich, what would you
I think this
say?
screen,
I mean, it's kind of a bigger mesh.
Yeah, it's a bigger screen size, but I'm not sure what that size, what they intended to use on it. It doesn't indicate that in the proposal. I think what I can do is we can reach out to them about this a little bit further. I can send an email and just, make some inquiries as to what the screen size is that they would use on the custom fabrication, before they do it. I think it would be bigger than what, like a leaf guard product would be. It's probably going to be a little bit more heavy duty. So I think, like, to answer your question, is the granules from the roof, which I think that was what somebody was mentioning, the asphalt,
Yes.
would be enough to pass through this particular custom product that they will be used into the gutter system, but it'll keep the leaves out itself. So I think that's what we're probably looking at, is something along those lines.
Okay.
Did you have a
Right.
question?
I have a comment, if I may. I personally like to see a spec sheet of what they intend on putting up there before we make any decisions on this subject.
I
Okay.
agree with you.
So what I can-
certainly.
So what I can do on that is I can request that they send me a cut sheet on the screen size. I don't know if they will have a specific drawing for something that's custom sized, but I can get certainly information on the screen size and what it will be made out of, and I can forward that along to
Would it
everybody.
be possible also to get some kind of imagery that shows exactly where these will be placed, so we can take a look and see if there's any other vulnerabilities or areas where leaves may get into the gutters?
I think we could do something like that. What I think we could do is take a roof area plan. We can highlight it in yellow where they're proposing to install them. And then I can send that along to Susan, and then she can update everybody. And if somebody has some comments to say, hey, I think we should add a little bit more here or there, they can show me in different colors, what additional areas they want. Obviously, we'd have to revise the proposal a little bit more depending upon how much additional length you're asking for, though.
Well, I'm just
Right
wondering
now
if
he
we-
was mentioning 3 locations at both Brennan and Wamsutta, but he didn't give a linear footage. So, but it's basically 3 areas at each. But maybe when you're out there tomorrow morning, I don't know if Zbigniew might have a sample of the mesh that he could share a photograph, something, that we could put a measurement on, that, we can touch it, see it, whatever. We can check in with him tomorrow.
I will check in when I'm on site.
I also think that if somebody took a photo of the front of the school to show the trees, that would be very helpful for the commission members to see.
Okay. I can take some additional photos since I'm going to be there tomorrow, and I'll do the same thing. I'll take a ride over to Wamsutta afterwards and do the same thing over there. Just so that you can see what it looks like right now in the areas where they're proposing to put, this screen.
Ed, you had a question?
Yeah, since we already have larger than normal gutters, and I'm assuming downspouts, and part of the problem is where the leaves are actually entering the ground, clogging the system where it can't really be easily serviced. Is there a possibility that during this reconsideration, we could have a trap that would be able to be serviced at ground level, a door that could be opened, and the leaves that get down there be picked out where it would be a fairly easy maintenance task?
So as part of the design, we put in actually ground level cleanouts for you already. So they're already in the system, and we also water jetted those drain lines right now. So you're right now operating with a free flowing clear system right now. So there's no reason to spend any more money. You've got the cleanouts everywhere, where at every single one that goes below grade, you have a cleanout right now. The ones that surface discharge, they're a little bit different. Obviously, they discharge on the ground, and you're going to have to clean up the downspouts. But there are more downspouts with cleanouts than there are ones that discharge or surface drain.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I think that we should table this matter. And we should get some more information, and we should consult with the mayor because I certainly understand Jason wanting to have as low a maintenance problem as possible, but I also want to make sure that whatever we do is effective and that we're not wasting money. I'm sure that seems to me to be the sense of the commission. So we'll proceed on that. Susan, what about the heat trace? Did we finish that?
They've started, excuse me, but they have not completed. They started at Brennan.
Okay, and it's Boyven who's doing that?
It is. And they were looking for, they were going to be completing Brennan. So we've included 50% of the invoicing in this current requisition you have. And they'll be looking for Zbigniew to pay them the remainder as soon as they finish Wamsutta, and we'll include it in the next invoice.
Okay. Anything further you want to bring to our attention on this project?
No, that was everything I had. I had approved Russo Bar's invoice, and Rich and I had both approved this current invoice and change. So I don't think there's anything else pending.
And Jeremy, you're happy with the Skanska bill?
Yes.
Okay. Commission members, anything further for Susan or Rich? Okay, I guess then we will see you next month, which looks like it's January 6th.
Yeah. And I'll get that information over to you as soon as we have it in hand.
And just as long as we're at it, it looks like February 3rd would be the meeting after that, just so hopefully you're done by then, Susan, but
I know. Not that I don't like joining, but hoping we have everything wrapped up.
Yep. So, okay. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Evan, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm at a rest area and have some background music. So I'm going to try to be as clear and loud and concise as possible. So things are going well at the library. The contractor, Track Builders, have mobilized. They've erected the temporary site fencing, erected some scaffolding. So that has started and will continue. We've been focusing on submittal submissions, existing condition verification. The decorative balconies at the exterior have been removed and are now in the metal shop for evaluation and cleaning. We've also started some of the masonry mock-ups, and I'll be reviewing that with the contractor and architect this Friday. We have some material ordered, the slate, which is a fairly long lead time. That's expected towards the end of this month. Membrane roofing replacement is about to start. We're about 2 weeks away from that, weather permitting, and about 4 or 5 weeks away from actually starting some work on the 4th floor level of the library. Another thing to note is that we've been working with the library about a portion of their website for construction related information. And I believe that that is complete and either currently live or about to go live, so folks can check that out. We do have the first requisition from the contractor, requisition number 1 for just over $300,000. That includes mostly bonds and insurance, as well as some money for submittals, mobilization, and some of the minor metalwork and masonry things that I had just talked about. We have, I'm not sure that I had mentioned this last month, but there's some historic leaks on the third floor, one in the staff lounge and one out in the stack area. Once the membrane roofing is complete, we will reevaluate that and see if our water infiltration was from the roof areas that would then be corrected, or whether we need to do some further investigation to see whether that's coming through adjacent windows or masonry envelope. We've also just recently identified with the heavy rains, there's currently an egress stair out of the lowest level of the library. So the lower landing there, this is on the literacy center side, has in essence, a floor drain or an area drain at the bottom landing. That has been holding water. They've been able to open that up. It looks like that was an existing, that drains to an existing dry well that has started to get clogged with some fines. So we will be further investigating that and seeing what we need to do to rectify that situation. Other than those historic leak areas and this drain issue, we have no other potential changes on the horizon. Our budget remains at 6.5 million. I had given that for distribution. I don't know if anybody actually received that, but generally we're on track and on budget. That includes 3.56 million for the track builder's original contract. There's an additional $200,000 allowance for accessibility upgrades that we believe we'll need to do. In addition, that overall budget includes 1.85 million construction contingency and about $100,000 soft cost contingency. So we remain in good shape on this project. And again, this rec that's before you for approval this evening puts us at 9% completion on the overall project. Any questions?
Commission members? Bob Barton, do you want to add anything?
No, sorry, Jack, I got to unmute myself. No, everything's, Evan and I have reviewed all of this, so I think we're in good shape there. The budget is exceptionally well in shape, so.
Okay, excellent. So I think that we probably can say goodnight unless commission members have any questions to the two of you. We have a couple of updates I'll give you, and we have some bills to pay, but commission members, unless you have any other questions, we'll thank these representatives and let them go home. Let me just say, Christine, this is your last meeting with the Municipal Building Commission, correct?
It is, yes.
Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
And we understand that Amy will be attending next month?
Correct, yes. She had a conflict with the library program tonight, but she does plan to attend the monthly meetings.
And sometimes Charlie Oliver or your board members do, but I don't see any of them on tonight.
Correct.
Okay, well,
Jack, the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that, so there are two BH&A architect invoices before you this evening. We've reviewed those and recommend approval. You also have an STV invoice and a track requisition number 1 for track builders, and the architect has reviewed and certified that, and we have reviewed that and recommend payment as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, unless there's anything else, thank you. And have a good holiday season.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good night.
All right, so with regard to the Hyman Fine Hill Roberts gym floors, we had a public hearing last night and it seemed to go well. You agree, Jeremy?
I do. Jack and I both spoke, and then principal and a gym teacher from the respective buildings also both spoke in favor, implored the importance to the council.
So hopefully that amendment will go through and we will start a designer selection, which is, one of the key things that we do as a group, and which is a bit more time consuming than regular. We may end up having to have a special meeting or two to take care of that, but that's okay. That's what we do.
So it was referred to committee and will be capital projects subcommittee next Tuesday on the 8th. And then if all goes well, we'll get voted out of committee and brought to the floor for a full council vote on 12/15. That would be our quickest schedule. And then Carol Brown in purchasing in my office is working on a designer RFP, so we can get it out quickly thereafter.
And so once we do that, we'll establish a time when the designer responses will be due in January, and we'll keep you informed, because what we'll probably do is have everybody look at things, and as usual, come up with your top 3 candidates, and then we'll meet as a group and decide which are the real top 3 candidates after we take 7 or 8 opinions, and then we will interview those people and choose the winner. With regard to the Attleboro Pawtucket water interconnect, we are still waiting for the council to act on Crown Street, but in the meantime, the CDM Smith, our engineer, has prepared a minor site plan review application, which they have not yet filed, but is close to being done. And today they filed with the Conservation Commission for the stormwater permit. So I'm hopeful that that will get taken up to begin with on the 16th of December. Whether they will send that out for a review by Horsley Witten is unclear at this point. Approval maybe sometime in January, maybe in February, which really is not what we wanted, but we have to deal with things we can't control. And then just to let you know that there's another project that may be in the offing for us, which is that the Central Fire Station and Briggs Corner, or is it in Briggs Corner fire stations, need roof replacements. And so once the mayor and the financial team figure out how we would pay for that, we would probably have to do a designer selection for that project. So I'm looking forward to us keeping busy all winter. And before you know it, spring will be here. So unless anybody has anything else, we'll go to paying the bills.
Jack,
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Regarding the gym floors, I must have missed this. What's the estimated construction cost for that?
The estimated construction cost was somewhere between 500 and 550. And so we asked the council for 700,000 from the Brennan Wamsutta roof project so that we could pay a designer. The designer would have a clerk of the works and an industrial hygienist aboard, because part of the problem, these floors are composites. They were installed in 1975 when the schools were built. They're not wood. We're proposing to replace them with wooden floors. And the literature on these composite floors is that those that were installed between 1960 and 1980 is that when they deteriorate, they start to give off mercury. And there are detectable levels of mercury in both buildings, in the gyms, but it's still within EPA guidelines. But the school department wants that to be zero, and we certainly understand that. And as the principal and the gym teacher testified last night, the deterioration also causes a hazard for anybody who's playing on those floors, that they might twist a knee or even worse, to an ACL. So the concept is to replace them with wooden floors that will then last 50 years. Does that answer your question, Gail?
Fully answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, people say I get paid by the word. So in any event,
Believe that.
that's where we're going on that. And Jeremy, there are a few other bills that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. There are 3 bills associated with the library project for Amazon, the library store, and Sales Library Network. These are all related to, as we've heard about the library project, there is a series of phasing, moving the people on the 4th floor down while the work gets done, and then combine spaces and moving them again. So there are some added costs to the library, both office supply wise and access to the public wise. So these are for the most expensive of which is the shelves, to rehouse some of the collection to make it still accessible while areas are closed. And then some power strips and extension cords and the like. So those are all part of the project, but for the construction, so they come out of the construction budget.
Out of the contingency, or?
Out of the actual construction line. We had, there's enough savings in the line, bid savings in the line, that it comes out right out of that line.
Good, excellent. Again, as usual, to avoid having a dozen roll call votes, if anybody objects, we will do that. But if no one objects, we'll take one motion to approve all of the bills on the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Terry.
Sorry, I was muted.
Any other questions from the commission members on the bills? Then Jeremy, take it away.
All right, Jackie,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes, it passes unanimously. Jerry, I got an email from you on the school project. I'll respond to that when I get back to my office.
Okay, thank you.
Other than that, I think that we have completed our agenda for the evening. So unless anybody has anything else, the motion would be in order to adjourn at 6:13.
So moved.
Second.
Jeremy?
Before we adjourn, everyone, just a reminder that SBC is not next week, but rather the following week. So no meeting next week. We're on the 16th or whatever that is.
Yes, the 16th, I believe, is the next SBC meeting.
SBC, correct. All right, to adjourn, Jackie,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.